If you interrogate quite a lot of people, they tell you their votes won't count. So, but in spite of all the education going out, you will still find some people who will not be bothered. But we will continue to do what is necessary to ensure that people see the importance of. If you complain about government, if you support a government, the only way you can support or excuse a government is through the power of your vote. So it's education, and INEC, civil society, the media. There is a lot of it going on right now that people should see the importance and the power of their vote. So I think that, seriously speaking, people would take advantage. I've found in churches where people are asked to bring their voters card before they can take Holy Communion. It's all part of the incentive now to ensure that people. So we need to get everybody involved. It's about our country. We can't sit down and complain. We can't sit down and support. We can't dance in all the rallies, and eventually we don't even have the means to engage with the system, which is the voters card.
It's an interesting narrative, PVC before communion. Let me get Mr. Lardner's view on a separate matter entirely. Well, first, enthusiasm is higher this time, higher than in 2011.
Yes.
But then we have permanent voter cards lying there, not having been collected. And I have people who are saying, look, I've been to several centers, I've relocated, and that's why they say they can't collect their permanent voter cards. But on the other hand, there are those who may interpret that as saying, well, just as Mr. Wango said, the elites don't vote, but are they actually the ones? Because why would you go and get registered in the first place if you know you won't stand the heat to collect your permanent voter cards and then actually vote? So what can we adduce as the main reason why these cards are not being collected?
Well, back to what Enzo was saying, he was being very polite when he referred to the Nigerian elite as being aloof. Nigerian elite is redolent and lazy. They have no sense of their own enlightened self-interest, right? And so we're going through these cycles every year, right, in which you want to change the system, but you don't want to invest in the system to change it. But you reserve the right to sit back and complain. And it's a mindset issue, but I think it's changing now because, you know, we're faced with, you know, real existentialist threats to Nigeria as a nation. And I think for the very first time, people even subconsciously are beginning to make a connection between this act of electoral engagement and the prospect of changing their leaderships across board and being able to shape their future. Yes, in the past, you know, we've said that it's a mindset thing, that their votes don't count. So there's a sense of apathy about it. But we have to also understand that, like every living organism, our own democracy is also growing. It's not the same mindset we had in 1999. Yeah, it's an evolutionary process. We've come to a point now where it is clear. And if you look at the numbers, when you were talking about the Northeast, about what, 12 million or something in that order, right? When we're doing the analysis, the amount of people that came out for their PVCs in some of those states were as high as 70%. If you go down to the south, southeast, southwest, perhaps lower, right? But I think something is changing now in terms of a public sense of urgency and an engagement. But all habits die hard. There are people who just think that, it's another Nigerian election, it's been rigged, the conclusion. And it's a very strange mindset. It's a self-defeatist, non-enlightened, you know, foreshortening mindset. And it has nothing to do with INEC, really. It's a collective mindset. And, you know, my friend here, I'm surprised he's being this polite by calling them aloof. Because usually, because I know as he's slightly more pointed. Maybe he's getting mellow in his old age. But the Nigerian elite are the problem.
Well, we'll get more comments about the Nigerian elite and these which is being ascribed to them in just a moment. But that'll be when we return. Join us again. Welcome back to Nigeria 2015 Studios, coming to you live from Lagos. We encourage you to please keep your questions or comments or tweets at that coming through to us here. But for now, it's time for more reports from our bureaus with Eddie Thompson.
Thank you so much, Chamberlain. Good evening. Tonight, we take you to the camp of the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State and that of the All Progressives Congress in Nasarawa State, both with the same line of story. Politicians are wooing residents to give them their trust in this month's elections. INEC is also working towards their deadline of February 8th to distribute the PVCs. This is a normal scene all around the country. However, there's something not very common that is here, and that is that this campaign is not by a presidential nor a governorship candidate. Instead, these supporters have come to listen to the People's Democratic Party candidate for Anambra Central Senatorial District, Uche Ekunife. She, however, does not campaign for herself alone. She speaks for the PDP presidential candidate.
If you're going to vote for PDP for president, raise your hands up.
For her, it's not too late to get in some amenities to the people.
Before 10th of February, I'll bring a brand new waste disposal.
The All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Umaru Al-Makura is also making his rounds in the Western Senatorial Zone of Nasarawa State. The period is also a time when the governor is donating vehicles, which is to be used for the transportation of the people. To them, this is just one of the many approaches to campaign.
As far as we are concerned, we will continue to campaign, have rallies, convince people, tell people what we have in stock for them, talk issues. We are not interested in calling anybody any name.
Away from the politicians, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Akwa Ibom State has released figures of permanent voter cards they have received. They say it is 1,464,780, and they have distributed 1,388,414.
Certainly, we'll be able to do something to make sure that these cards they get to the persons who really are the owners. We put in some measures, and I'm sure by the end of next week, at least 40 or 50,000 cards will have been given out. We've talked with the traditional rulers. We've talked with religious leaders. We've equally hired town criers to help us distribute these cards. So the process is on, and I'm very confident that shortly before the election, most of the cards will have got into their rightful owners.
Representing about 95%. The PVC is one of the major features which observers are using to measure the preparedness of INEC. And the debate on how INEC will distribute all 68,800,000 cards to registered voters before February 14 is still on. If INEC is saying that there are PVCs yet to be collected, it means some of us as Nigerians have not done what is expected of us. So please, let's do the needful. Back to you, Chamberlain.
Don't look my way. I've done what is needful. Well, thank you, Ini. Well, I'm going to go over to Mr. Kaide, though, the Chief Press Secretary to the Chairman of INEC, because there are some who are commenting on Twitter about the status quo with the collection of their permanent voter card. Mr. Doe, I do know that, yes, I mean, people are also tweeting about those who have not been able to collect. But